But I've been watching this story of this man that was deported by the Trump administration out of Maryland. Now, a lot of people have been saying that he was a Maryland resident. Technically, he's not a Maryland resident. I forgot his entire name. I believe his name is like Kemar Garcia. But nevertheless, it is the man that had the judge's orders, court orders, to not be removed from the country. And the Trump administration deported this man. The spokespeople for the Trump administration alleged that he was deported illegally by way of a clerical error. In layman's terms, that just means they fucked up. But I've been following this story for at least 2 weeks, I think it is. And I did not do a video about this particular story because I was waiting to see what the end result would be. So let me give you a teeny bit of what my plans were. My plans were, because I was highly interested in this terrorism confinement center that they got in El Salvador, for at least 2 reasons, maybe more, but 2. One is this: they are promoting the prison as a prison that you go in and never leave. Of course, I'm assuming you can leave if you are deceased or you're expired. But let me tell y'all this. In joking, and in some type of way, I'm dead serious that I'm a prison expert, because I cover in my journalism prison and incarceration. But in reality, I only say that in regards to American prisons because I spent time in prisons in America and the United States. But every prison is built for people to come in and leave. For them to build this prison and stand on it as a prison that you never leave is unbelievable to me. Now, the second thing that I have a problem with pertaining to the way they promote the prison, they say, it takes 20,000 prisoners easily, 40,000 it could, be packed to. But when you look at the way in which they're housing the prisoners, it's 80 to 100 of them in one tank. They're calling that a cell. Where we come from, they call that shit a bullpen. But I believe that it's going to be strife with disease and all type of unhealthy things, because you can never have 80 people to 100 people in a tank bullpen holding area, and that is where they are housed at to do years and decades. You got 80 to 100 people taking bird baths in the sink, drinking out a single container of water. The other thing that they doing that don't make sense to me. Now, I'm going to attribute all this to the president of El Salvador, a guy by the name of Bukele. I'm not an expert in how you pronounce his name, but nevertheless, he's trying to take his country back from the quote-unquote gangs that they are now calling terrorists. But MS-13 and Barrios 18 are the 2 main problems according to the El Salvadorian government, and they locked them up. Most of them. You got dudes in there with 890 years, 1,250 years. Undoable type of sentences, okay? But I'm saying this, and I'm not going to dwell on this in this video. I believe that in the process of El Salvador locking up MS-13 and Barrios 18 in what they are calling a mega prison. I call it a mega prison now only because they call it a mega prison. But in order for them to say that they're going to lock this group up, I believe what they're going to end up doing is making a mega gang. But anyway, the president of El Salvador and his partners have already confirmed to the United States, way back before they sent this first load of 3 planes of detainees to El Salvador, their thing was, look, we built a mega prison that can hold a slave ship full of people, and we will hold your American criminals too. Now, Trump hasn't moved on no line like that to do that, but it got my attention months ago because they said that they will do it. If they said that they will do it, trust me, is a way for it to be done. Now, I followed this El Salvadorian mega prison because I wanted to see if they would send people there. Sure enough, they did. Now, why am I concerned with the man from Maryland? The man that was taken out of Maryland. Now, remember, he was an El Salvadorian national. He came to this country to seek asylum almost 15 years ago. They said he was a teenager or something. He's supposed to be seeking asylum from MS-13 and them extorting his mother from her little fruit stand or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that, but it was something like that. Well, my point is, not only do you send him back to that country, you send him back to that country in a mega prison. And the last thing I wanted to point out is that for people that follow me, DC Blacks, the channel, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel too. I cover places like Marion, USP, ADX, Florence, Colorado. These were your supermax prisons of their time. ADX is that's the cream of the crop for the federal system as far as most restrictive and last stop prisons. The point I want to make with that is that ADX only holds about 500 people. They try to keep it under 500, 490, such. But the prison was only meant to hold 500 people. I don't know how many people Pelican Bay holds. I will check it, but of course I'm not going to check it for this video. Well, Pelican Bay holds a certain amount of people, and that's California's state version of what ADX is. All these things are designed to break the human psychology, or is designed to break the human mind. Let's just put it like that. If ADX only holds 500 people, right? And this mega prison over here in El Salvador holds 20,000 on ease, 40,000 on a big day, bad day, compact on a press day, on a day where the prisoners are, overcrowded. Man, what do you think this means for the future of prisons or the future of people who are detained or incarcerated in the United States? Now, I watch shows like World's Toughest Prisons, Locked Up Abroad, and in these situations, Russia, China, Uzbekistan, some of these Eastern European places, specifically these Chinese places, bro, they got prisons that's out of this world. And I never done a story on them. Why? Because you expect that from there. But I never expected anything from El Salvador. Not that I care now, but the big issue that I'm interested in pertaining to this El Salvadorian prison, mega prison, is the fact that the United States has sent illegals there. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna make this point clear without talking you to death. They didn't just send illegals there. They could do what they want to do with illegals, but this country is a country that's based on supposedly law and order. But in the 5th Amendment of the United States Constitution, there's a thing called due process. For people who are ignoring the fact that due process was ignored for these deportees, you are ignoring the fact that they could eventually do it to someone else. And don't forget, in this country in like the 1950s, they put Japanese Americans into concentration camps when they was beefing with the what was going on. Japanese Americans, I believe, and Korean Americans may have went through this. I'll fact check it, but I'm gonna leave it right there for a second. But my point is that they did it arbitrarily. They did it without due process. They did it just because they could do it. If they could send these guys to this prison, then that means they could eventually send anybody to this prison. But check this prison out. Specifically to all my, as they say now, my YNs, my young guys, like, the people that's my age that watch the news, most of y'all have seen this prison already. But for my young dudes that's in the trap, that's in the streets, and they watch my content, I want you to watch this content, and I want you to understand that not only is this prison that I'm talking about because it's a new phenomenon. It's about to change the game in how people are deported from this country and how mistakes are made. Like, I held this video and this story for so long because I wanted to see what would be the first thing that occurs when they start sending some of these, what they're calling foreign terrorists, Trinidad Agua, the Venezuelan guys who they acting like they making the main issue about. But the whole prison over there in El Salvador holds mostly Barrios 18 and MS 13. If the Trump administration only sent 200 to 300 Venezuelan gang members that they allege off the top, bruh, how does that even match up? And now you done accidentally sent a man that has a U.S. citizen as a wife, a U.S. citizen as a child to this prison. And the Trump administration is going to allege that they can't get the man back. How can you not get the man back if you could get Brittany Griner back from Russia, bruh? You could get Brittany Griner back from Russia, but you can't get this one little El Salvadorian guy back from this prison who you all pay. Now, I'm a guy that spent years and years in private prisons. I spent years in this place called Correctional Corporation of America, CCA. CCA was paid by the District of Columbia to house DC guys. You gonna tell me that the United States of America, one of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet, can pay El Salvador to hold these prisons, but they can't tell them to send one person back? El Salvador is not the dominant force. It's not the A side in this agreement. The A side in this agreement is the Trump administration. They can get the guy back. But now, the Supreme Court has jumped in it. For y'all who don't know, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. A judge told Donald Trump and them administration not to send them planes to turn the planes around. They bucked it. They said, fuck the judge. Then they went in, filed what's called an emergency hearing. Emergency hearing in the Supreme Court is where as though you file something, it needs to be heard immediately. Emergency. So that judge in the Supreme Court, I believe it was Judge Roberts, he basically put a hold on another judge's order that needed to get to the bottom of this. But nevertheless, I ain't got to take y'all through this because I waited days to get back to this topic and this conversation. The Supreme Court has now ordered the man to be returned. I want to say no later than Monday, but don't quote me on that. But the Supreme Court has ordered him returned. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. Now, let's see what the Trump administration does about this, because I understand that Donald Trump believes he's the last Don. I understand that Donald Trump believes that the Trump administration is the 6th or 7th family of the Gambinos, Columbos, Genoveses, Bonanno, Lucchese, and Trump. I think that that's what he think. I think that he's a part of the La Cosa Nostra, American style. But let's see what the Supreme Court order means to the Trump administration. I'm going to show y'all little bits and pieces of this prison. If you think that you've been to a hell of a prison, if you think that you watch prison genre, YouTube, social media, television, if you think that you've been to prison and you're a tough guy, look at this video and drop a couple comments. What do you think would happen if they sent American domestic criminals to this place? And not to be on joke time, for my guys that been in prison, for my guys that been in rides, for even my young guys that may have just been in a situation where you bucked at a detention center, explain to me in the comments why these guys are so well behaved when the camera cut on. No yelling, no screaming, no talking, no misbehaving, no joking, no playing. How the hell do they get them to be controlled like that in a locked up environment if they allege that they can't be controlled on the streets? They say these the most dangerous prisoners in the world. I've been in a hole in an American prison where dudes throw shit, piss, cuss people out and everything. Why are they so well behaved over here? I don't understand. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Freedom in. It's Freedom Real Friday.
Built to isolate El Salvador's most dangerous criminals, the Center for Terrorism Confinement, or CECOT, opened in early 2023 as the centerpiece of President Nayib Bukele's anti-gang crackdown.
Buenos días.
Why are there more people here?
El régimen de excepción no finaliza hasta que el último pandillero que está en la calle sea capturado.
He says the state of exception, essentially the state of emergency that's been declared under President Bukele going back 2022, will not end until the last gang member has been taken from the communities and brought here to CECOT.